Hey everybody, before we get started, I just remind you this episode is brought to you by our patrons like Ahigo Comics, Qua, Drago66, and Nestor Flores. If you like what we do and want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and it would really help us out. Thanks for your support, everybody. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It is time to talk about Legend of the Five Rings again, specifically role-playing this time. I know I've done some other stuff. But yeah, so we're experimenting with another L5R news video thing, kind of break down some announcements. That's cool. This is definitely not an excuse to try and experiment with upping our production values ever so slightly. Anyway, we're here, we're doing a thing. We're going to talk about some new L5R announcements and some other stuff. We are also expecting Emerald Empire probably this week on a Thursday or something, maybe, don't know. Hopefully, though, soon, because they switched to shipping now. And then we wait until after Christmas for the PDF. But at the very least, if there's a release and like people start, you know, spoiling stuff, maybe taking some pictures of some stuff, or at least listing some shit that's in there, you know, I can talk about it then. Anyway, let's jump into the news. Alright, and what has been announced is a twofer, but let's talk about the initial announcement first. And I'm sorry the images are slightly off-center. You know, I'm working with new stuff here, okay? Anyway, Shadowlands was announced. They call the article Enter the Shadowlands, but the book is just Shadowlands, what is subtitled The Essential Guide to the Dominion of Fulang. And this is a sourcebook for the L5R RPG, which, well, one, I think it cements what sort of sourcebooks I think we can look for in L5R, maybe. Like, obviously, core is core, and some people have complained about the fluff being a little thin. It's not any worse, I think, than, like, I've heard a lot of people say it's not worse than the first edition of L5R in that respect, which kind of makes sense because it's a rollback to the beginning, right? You get a very high level, here's generally what's going on, and then also here's all the important stuff for like mechanics and thematics and how the hell you play this game in the appropriate theme and tone and stuff, right? And then Emerald Empire is basically the part 2 of that, which is, okay, so here's the actual timeline, and here's the geography, and here's some other stuff that wasn't necessarily core. And now we get Shadowlands, which is a shorter source book. I believe it's 144 pages, they said. It's broken up into 3 sections. Anybody who has read or purchased Star Wars RPG supplements will probably recognize this type of format. If you haven't, pop down to your local game store, grab whatever the latest thing is, and browse it. You'll see this. We'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, so this is kind of a locational-based one, and, well, actually, fuck it. Let's talk about the sections. So the first chapter is said to handle the history and geography of the Shadowlands, you know, major points of interest with plot hooks and other things, adventure seeds. It will also cover the Crablands and detail the crab families, which is really cool. I'm really hopeful that's going to look like the backs of the novellas in the level of detail, you know? It's just a couple pages, but it's a thing. Also, it will detail the Caillou Wall, which separates the two, which is also really good if you're thinking of running wall campaigns. And if you're new to the franchise and you're not familiar with the Shadowlands, basically, you know how in Game of Thrones, there's this huge wall of ice in the north, and past that wall there's horrible barbarians and giants and stuff, but also, you know, raving masses of the undead trying to consume everything. The Shadowlands are like that, but they're in the south, and there's no people in the wilderness. And also, it's literally hell. It's literally hell. So yeah. Also, we know the second chapter will provide new player options. They have confirmed that it will include the Falcon Clan, and presumably their associate family school rules. It will include new schools with an S, and new techniques. There will be new equipment, and it sounds like new options to customize your equipment. New advantages and disadvantages related to Shadowlands and other spookable stuff. And more information and techniques on Maho, which is really good, because Maho's kind of weird right now. You basically need your GM to you either need to roll really well, on the heritage table, or you need your GM to, you know, give you a claps on the back and say, yep, that's a Toma Evil War, you can buy a Maho technique now, I guess. Which, did you want a specific one? No? Okay, I guess it gives you the, I don't know, Insight Haunting or something? Yeah. Even for a narrative game, it's a little wishy-washy, right? So, hopefully this will have more guidance, as it says, and of course we'll include new options. And then the section 3 is dedicated to the GM to actually running Shadowlands campaigns. Gives them tools, gives them advice on themes and how to run this sort of adventure, gives them new NPC templates to apply to people, to, you know, Shadowlands them up. And we'll also include rules for making customized Oni, which are probably super rad. Honestly, all these options are really cool. Like I said, if you've read a Star Wars source book, you know, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be real good stuff. The fluff will be good, and then also actually all the actual mechanics will probably be really cool. Though, as always with an FFG product, do be careful of the occasional copying editors, especially if there's tables involved. God damn the tables. Anyway, that's Shadowlands. Super excited about this. Don't think there's a good idea on when it's coming, but it's gonna happen. And I would also like to let everybody know that I did in fact call it. I don't think I called it on the channel, but in several places I was saying, gosh, I really feel like there's an enemy-focused book on, like, the Shadowlands or something coming out, because that's, like, after Emerald Empire, that's one of the classics of L5R. And here it is. But there was also one more thing announced, which links perfectly with this. Let's switch slides. Yes, literally switch slides. And this news will probably be much shorter, just because the nature of the product is shorter. But hey, they have also announced, almost as kind of a companion, Mask of the Oni, a new adventure for the L5R RPG. This is a 32-page adventure set mainly in and around Shirohiruma, a lost castle in the Shadowlands, used to belong to the Hiruma clan, but now is on the wrong side of the wall. And they talk a lot about how it'll involve, you know, investigations, blood speakers, terrifying spookables. I'm sure there's a giant Oni you can fight in there somewhere. Lots of stuff like that. They also note that it can be used as a follow-up to the Dark Tides adventure, which was in the GM kit, or it can be used as a standalone adventure, which is always neat. You know, you can build a series of stuff together or not. Other than that, I don't think there's a lot of real... Like, a lot of people have said, oh, FFG always tucks player-facing stuff in their adventures. Like, sometimes they definitely do if there's, like, a... in Star Wars, like, if there's a species that's tight, or, some of their Force and Destiny of adventures have included Force powers as kind of like a linkage thing, though at least in the very first case of that, I haven't actually read Ghost of Death here, but in the very first one, it's you're rebuilding a holocron, so you unlock more of the Force power tree you can buy as you go through, right? And a lot of them do have, like, vehicle and stuff stats, but it's not as much of a, like, hey, there's always something for the players in here, as people always say. So I don't know how much of this is player-facing. However, if you are a GM, you are probably definitely going to want to pick this up in physical if you have physical people to hang out with, because in addition to that other stuff I said, the book will also come with a detailed map of the Crablands and the Shadowlands, which is really cool, and a whole bunch of tokens with little, like, visible symbols of people, so you can, like, visually reference people. You can use them if you play the grid combat version, like you're some kind of I can't get over D&D guy. Seriously, range bands are great. I just wish they'd kept them with the more descriptive names they had in the beta. The numbers are a little weird. They're a little too abstract. But having run Star Wars a lot, I can totally teach my players to be like, yeah, this guy's at short range. That's, you know, like, not close enough to punch him range, but close. And then that guy's at medium range. The, like, you know, the extra range bands are a little confusing sometimes when they're not named. Point of references. Anyway, now both of these titles also come with some pre-order bonuses, which is weird, but they're also cool. Mask of the Oni gives you, is it the bookmarks? No, they're just art prints. Okay. Yeah, you just get, you get a bookmark and sweet art prints, and then if you pre-order and Shadowlands, goddammit FFG, why did you title the article Enter the Shadowlands? Because that's also a cool name. You get a bookmark and more art prints. So if you like the L5R art, which you should, it's amazing, there are hella prints about it and a bookmark, which is cool. Dear FFG, please sell the bookmark separately sometime as its own accessory, and also give me adversary decks. But I love bookmarks, and I could use them, and your art is really cool. Anyway, that's basically, I think, all there is to talk about Mask of the Oni. Let me double-check the articles or anything else. Samurai, the booklet, the adventure, players know, characters know. Okay, so there's some history and stuff, and so that if you're playing like a Hiruma or something, you might want to know some of the details of the background. But yeah, it does not necessarily seem like it's a super player-focused choice. But like I said, there's definitely enough accessories for game masters to want to buy this. Even if you're not necessarily going to run the adventure itself, the map and the tokens are very useful for any generic Shadowlands campaign you might be running. Plus, who knows, maybe you'll want to adapt it for something you're doing on your own. And there we go. That's the announcement. So, super happy with, both of these. If they offer Mask of the Oni in PDF form, I'll probably pick it up at some point just so I can have it and look at it. Much more excited for the Shadowlands. Like I said, I always want to say Enter because that's the name of the article, and that's much more dynamic. But whatever, the Book of Shadowlands. So that's really cool, and like I said, I think this kind of firms up how FFG's going to do their books. They are probably going to do thematic-focused source books, which may or may not have classical names of L5R source books, and that will include stuff like details on specific clans, additional schools and stuff, new equipment, obviously, which I figured, and then GM-focused tools, like, and depending on how much they're willing to do distribution, they could easily do, like, because obviously with the way this is set up, there's a lot of stuff you need to focus on talking about, say, the actual Shadowlands and all that history and stuff, and also the Caillou Wall. But, for instance, if you were to do a version of this focused on Northern Rokugan, well, yes, you would want to talk about the Yobanjin and some of the stuff going on actually physically north of Rokugan. You could probably also still have enough time to talk about both the Dragon and, like, Phoenix lands and how those abut as well, because your focus on the geography outside itself would be smaller, right? And similar things. So you might be able to hit a couple clans at once, maybe? And obviously all that other stuff. And as previews and stuff go on, I think everybody will be eager to see what's actually in this. Obviously, this is FFG. You can expect, as we get closer to the release date, 2 or 3 preview articles, probably like 3 or 4, more like, one will be the first, there'll be one for each chapter, basically, and then there will also be a, probably more like maybe a general preview as a reminder, or a, hey, it's coming out thing. And that will be helpful. And actually, let me check what if it's even on here. The RPGs, did they put it on there? No, okay, so they haven't even put it on the upcoming page yet. FFG, you should be better about that. So I don't know what the time frame is. But we're here. We're doing the thing. Like I said, this, I think, shows what the focus will be. Some books might be a little bit longer. Some books might be a little bit slimmer. And we can see kind of like what the elements are. And the previews will be very telling about what extra is in there. Because it says new schools. So obviously, the Falcon Clan will get a school for them. At least one. Maybe more, but probably just the one. And then it's like, well, are there extra, crab schools that are going in there? They don't explicitly mention titles, but where there'll be titles. Will there be a school that actually has direct access to Maho in curriculum? Stuff like that. We'll see. So look out for the preview articles. And obviously, like I said earlier, watch this space. I'll probably talk about Emerald Empire at some point when it's out. Anyway, to keep this video from being a million years long when it doesn't have to be, I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it up right now. And remind you that if you like this video, please give it a like. If you have any comments, any thoughts, any wants and desires you have for Shadowlands, leave them in the comment section down below. You can also join our Discord. That link is in the description. We talk about stuff. I may or may not be recruiting for maybe running some games with the community that'll go up on the channel. And of course, if you are new here and have not already, please subscribe to our channel to get all our latest videos. And even if you are already subscribed, don't forget to hit that bell for notifications so you always know when we post a new video. And like it says at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can access the episodes early. You can get neat Discord integrations and stuff. And lots of other goodies. For instance, if you wanted to listen to some of our actual plays that are coming out or will come out in the future in audio format, that's a Patreon reward, and stuff like that. All right. I will see you guys in the next video. Stay honorable, everybody. And don't let the Oni bite.